Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United news, transfer news, and manager update show. We will discuss all the latest on Ollie and Carrick later on, but I think it's first time we talk about the transfer window. INEOS' lack of action when we need a left winger and we need a midfielder. More importantly, we need a midfielder. I was saying in September we needed a midfielder. I was saying in October we need a midfielder. I was saying in December we need a midfielder, and I am saying in January we need a midfielder. And the big difference about January is, believe it or not, the window is open. Does somebody need to go over to Carrington, find Jason Wilcox, knock on his door and say, you know that you can actually buy some midfielders right now? Does somebody need to go and tell him that? Why are they just sitting on their arse? I tell you what, this is what they thought. Sacking Amorim, all the new links to new managers, that will distract the media attention, and that will take away from the fact that we're sitting our ass when we should be signing a midfielder. I've been saying for years we need a midfielder. I said in the summer, it doesn't matter what happens with Ruben Amorim. If a midfielder is not signed, he will end up being sacked. Ruben Amorim has been sacked. I said that in the summer. If we don't sign a midfielder for Amorim, he will get sacked. Look, I think Amorim needed to go. I think Amorim was not good enough. But it doesn't matter who the interim is. We need a manager. The next manager, we need a midfielder. The next manager will need a midfielder. Amorim needs a midfielder. We've known that, and they're doing nothing. But they sacked Amorim. But they're linked, well, we might bring Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back. It's all a distraction from the fact that they are doing nothing in the January window. It's time INEOS wake up and realise Man United need a midfielder now. Carlos Baleba is available if we're willing to spend a bit of money. Brighton will sell him at a certain price. Baleba will push a move. Baleba's doing well at AFCON. We are starving for a midfielder, even if it's not Baleba and it's Conor Gallagher on load, and I'm not a big Conor Gallagher fan, then boom. Do you know what I mean? And look, Amorim was telling them that. Everyone was telling them that. You know, Amorim was telling them we need a midfielder. I was telling them for months we need a midfielder. You were telling them for months we need a midfielder. Everyone was telling us we need a midfielder. And they kept saying, well, we're not going to buy someone for the sake of it. We're only going to buy players if they're the right option. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just thinking, worst case scenario, Ruben Neves, £15 million. Worst case scenario. I know that INEOS are saying we're not going to do short-term deals. Have you seen Nagate? Have you seen Casemiro? Casemiro, when he's playing one game a week, was good. Last few weeks, Casemiro's had to play 2 games a week, honking. Do you know what I mean? Wilcox is another that needs to be sacked. I said this when Ruben Amorim was sacked. I said I didn't particularly like Ruben Amorim, but I will not celebrate Ruben Amorim being sacked. I said Ruben Amorim being sacked doesn't change as much as people think, because the same idiots are still above Ruben Amorim at the club. I said Ruben Amorim's been sacked, but I won't celebrate that. Ruben Amorim got sacked not because of his performances, which is probably why he should have been sacked. He got sacked because he called out this idiot board. This idiot board that will fail the next manager after him. This idiot board that gives me no confidence. Ruben Amorim should have been sacked. Ruben Amorim was not good enough. But that does not change the fact that the people above Ruben Amorim were 10 times worse, and I worry for the next manager. I'm not confident that the next manager comes in and succeeds, because I don't think the people above Ruben Amorim will give the next manager what he needs to succeed. Now, we're not bringing in the next manager until summer, that's fine, but we're bringing in an interim manager. An interim manager, you can still sign him some players. Do you remember Ralph Rangnick, when he was interim manager, asked for Julian Alvarez? And they were like, absolutely not. You cannot have Julian Alvarez. You're an interim. Look at Julian Alvarez now. Julian Alvarez for 15 million when Ralph Rangnick was interim, and Martial couldn't stay fit to save his life. Cavani decided to basically ditch the last 3 months of the season, and Ralph Rangnick asked for this young player for £15 million. It's turned out to be 100 million signing. They said no. When Ollie was permanent manager, he wanted Moises Caicedo in January for 4 million. They said no. When Ollie was when Ten Hag was permanent manager, he wanted Camara for 15 million in January in midfield. They said no. Look at Camara now at Aston Villa. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Or was it Ragnick actually that wanted Camara? I think it might have been Ragnick. I think it was 22. Absolutely nuts. We need a midfielder, and it's time INEOS wake up and realise that. Because I've been saying for years we need a midfielder. I've been saying in the summer we need a midfielder. And we know the midfielder's priority next summer. Cool, summer 2026. But the transfer window is open. There is a really good opportunity to somehow get European football this season. And signing a midfielder could be the difference between us finishing 14th and the difference between us finishing 4th. The league table is that tight. The difference between 14th and 4th could honestly be a good midfield signing. You just don't know. I don't think we'll finish 14th. I think we're much better than that. But 34 points, 28 points, 6 points between 13th and 4th. And do you know what's really annoying? Is we had Wolves, Burnley, and Leeds. Wolves, Burnley, and Leeds. We were looking at that thinking 9 out of 9 points, maybe 7, but 9 out of 9 points. 3 out of 9. Wolves, Burnley, Leeds. We've got Arsenal and Man City next. I don't think we will beat Arsenal or Man City. Even if we had the best manager in the world, I don't think we're going to go and beat Arsenal right now. Maybe we beat City. We have a way with that. But we got battered 3-0 by City earlier in the season. We have Arsenal and Manchester City next, people. We had to win Burnley and Wolves. We had to win Burnley and Wolves because we know that we're probably not going to beat City and Arsenal. We draw to Wolves, atrocious performance, atrocious setup by Ruben Amorim. We draw to Leeds, we were all right. Leeds have been in good form. It wasn't awful, but considering we draw to Wolves, it was bad. We drew to Burnley. Burnley was our best performance of the 3 games, but we drew to a 19th place Burnley side. Yes, the first goal was an absolute fluke. Yes, they made 2 goal line clearances. Yes, Kyle Walker is a diving cheat. And yes, we did enough to win that game 4-1. So it makes me even more angry that we didn't get the 3 points. Because if we just won one of our last 3 games, we're on 34 points. And our goal difference would be around Liverpool and we'd be in 4th. We'd be in 4th if we could just beat one of Burnley, Wolves and Leeds and we'd draw the game. And the frustrating thing is, we've now got difficult games. Amorim had a really nice, easy run of fixtures. And we won 1 out of 6 in Amorim's nice, easy run of fixtures. We've now got a not very nice run of fixtures. You know, Brentford are above us. Chelsea keep dropping points. You know, Newcastle were 13th 2 weeks ago. But we couldn't win one of our 3 easy games. And that's so frustrating. And I look at it and I say, right now, I think we deserve to win the Burnley game. I think we were incredibly unlucky not to win the Burnley game. But had we signed a midfielder January 1st and had a midfielder in that Burnley game, do you think we lose? Look, we could have played that Burnley time 100 times over and 99 times we probably would have won that game. We didn't have any luck. But INEOS have got to wake up and realise that we need a midfielder. It's becoming a joke now. INEOS wouldn't give Amorim a midfielder. There's no way they're going to give an interim new players. I agree. The problem is the interim wants to play a midfield 3. Amorim wants to play midfield 2. We need a midfielder more than ever. Do you know what I mean? I've been saying it for months. I've been saying it for years that we need a midfielder. It's so annoying. Alice, you're a massive problem with the fan base wanting the manager Sattler and wanting Ollie. I think there's this Amorim sexual cult where they fancy Ruben Amorim and they make up stuff. Ruben Amorim going 15th. Ruben Amorim had a 32% win record. Ruben Amorim was not doing a very good job. Did I say I wanted Ruben Amorim sacked and Ollie to come in? No. Did I say Ruben Amorim probably deserves to be sacked? Yes, because he hasn't been good enough. Yes. Ruben Amorim hasn't been good enough. He deserves to be sacked. But Ollie isn't someone I would personally bring in. But now we're linked to Ollie. I'm just trying to be positive. I'm trying to look on the bright side. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm fed up of being negative. I'm fed up of being negative all the time. Would I have sacked Ruben Amorim to bring in Ollie? If I was in control a week ago, no. But we sacked Ruben Amorim, which I think was the right decision. I'm just annoyed at how it went down because Ruben Amorim was sacked for the wrong reasons. Ruben Amorim was sacked because he called out the board. He wasn't sacked for his shocking performances. It should have been the other way around. Would I have brought Ollie in? No, but I'm trying to be positive about the appointment of Ollie. I could sit here and do a video ranting that we're going to bring Ollie in and Ollie's going to be this and that. But I'm fed up of being negative. I'm trying to be positive. The Darren Fletcher performance, we dropped points to Burnley. We dropped points to Burnley. I'm annoyed. But there was a lot of positives in that performance. I'm just trying to be positive for a change. We've been negative for so long that I'm just trying to say, you know what? Maybe Ollie can do this and that. Is it who I would have picked? No, but I'm looking for the positives. Yes, we dropped points to Burnley, but actually the Heaven own goal was an absolute fluke. Our fair goal was ruled out. Kyle Walker's a cheat. 2 goal line clearances. Aiden Heaven misses a sitter. And Jaden Anthony scores a screamer that he wouldn't score in any other game. Do you know what I mean? And the midfield got ran through. But the midfield got ran through. That happens every game. You know, I'm just trying to look for the positives. The Walker dive. I mean, Walker, if anything, Walker should be put for diving. Absolutely pathetic. And you know, he stamped on Dorgu and didn't even get a card. He stamped on Dorgu. There's clips of it. He actually literally stamped on Dorgu and nothing. I thought the ref was awful. Also, it's not helpful blaming each other. This hierarchy does not listen to fans anyway. Do you know what? The fan base is really toxic right now, and it's really sad. We should be supporting the club. And instead, you've got the Amorim sexuals that were celebrating us not winning. Weirdos. You know, they say anyone that wants Amorim out is toxic. Yeah, they were celebrating that Darren Fletcher didn't win because it makes them look better. But they call the other fans toxic when they were hate watching our own club. It's ridiculous. There's two types of people. There's four types of people. There were the people that were Amorim out and blamed absolutely everything on Amorim and thought that sacking Amorim would fix all our problems and had a little bit of delusion and copium. There was people like me that said, I think Ruben Amorim's got to go. I said, it's not been good enough. I said, Ruben Amorim hasn't been backed. I'm aware of the bigger issues. I don't think sacking Amorim instantly makes us that much better, but I think Ruben Amorim needs to go. I think the club needs to end this now. That was my mindset. Ruben Amorim probably needs to go. I'm aware he hasn't been backed. I'm aware the people above him are an absolute disgrace. I'm not confident for the next manager coming in. I'm not confident that sacking Ruben Amorim makes us miles better, but I think he needs to go. Then you had the people that are saying they're Amorim in because the cycle needs to stop, and that's very fair. They were saying, look, there were some people in this fan base that were Amorim in because they were fed up with the cycle. We were sixth. They were like, let's just see what happens. We need to go and give him a midfielder in January and see what he can do because we've given him some attackers and he's improved the attack. And then you got the Amorim sexuals. You know, the Amorim sexuals that are saying Kobbie Mainoo's a disgrace, should be kicked out of this football club. The youth academy's a disgrace and they should never get near the club. Celebrating Darren Fletcher dropping points. The Amorim sexuals need to leave the club with Amorim. You know, you can be Amorim in and say, oh, I don't think we should have sacked Amorim. The cycle continues. We should have given him a midfielder. We should have given him more time. But if you were hate watching on us yesterday, you're not a Man United fan. You fancy Ruben Amorim. I'm saying that now. Imagine hate watching on your own club because of a manager who finished 15th with 32% win rate. You fancy Ruben Amorim. If you were hate watching us yesterday, I'll say that now. Like, I think there's a spectrum. There's the people that think sacking Amorim would solve all our problems, deluded. There's the people that were hate watching us because they liked Amorim too much, deluded. And then there was the people that were Amorim in and the people that Amorim out, but quite fair in their opinion. Do you know what I mean? The fan base is all of a sudden just exploded online. The fans should come together. The fans need to come together. But there's warfare online. Anyone that, you know, and it's weird. It's like, we should come together. And do you know what we need to come together and do? Get the Glazers out. We need to come together and put all that anger towards the Glazers. This fan base has a lot of negativity in it. But they keep aiming at each other. No, aim it at the Glazers. Aim it at the Glazers. Do you know what I mean? You know, I'm seeing posts get 10,000 likes saying Kobbie Mainoo needs to leave this club. That Shay Lacey was rubbish. I thought Shay Lacey was good. 10,000 likes. 10,000. What? Can we stop this hate towards other fans, other players, manager agendas, and can we direct it to the Glazers? I generally wanted Amorim to do a good job and turn things around, but he was too stubborn for that. He should never have been hired in the first place. I agree with you. Now we hear that Wilcox didn't want Amorim and Ashworth didn't want Amorim. He shouldn't have been hired in the first place. I believe that INEOS failed Amorim. INEOS brought in Amorim. They knew that he played a 3-4-3. They knew that he needed this, this, and this, and they didn't get Amorim that. And they didn't get Amorim a midfielder. And Amorim failed, but a big fault of it was on INEOS. But I wanted Amorim to do well, but he was too stubborn. He wasn't going to adapt. He wasn't going to change. And you can say fair play to him for sticking with his principles. The board lied to him. The board are the bigger issue. Jason Wilcox, the board were the bigger issue, of course. But Ruben Amorim wasn't good enough. And I get why he was sacked. Do I think sacking Ruben Amorim is going to instantly make us good? No. Do I think sacking Ruben Amorim playing the 4 at the back is instantly going to make us brilliant? No. Because there's bigger issues than that. But I do think that sacking Ruben Amorim probably was the right choice. Do I think it was a disgrace how it went down? Yes. Do I think the fact that he was sacked because he called out the board was a disgrace? Yes. Do I think the board are an absolute disgrace and 10 times more at fault than Amorim? Yes. But I think both can be right. I think you can agree that Ruben Amorim wasn't backed. You can agree Ruben Amorim should have been given a midfielder. You can agree that the board are more at fault than Ruben Amorim. But, you know, I personally think that Ruben Amorim didn't do enough to keep his job. You know, I think we will do better with Amorim gone. I don't think it will be that much better. I don't think it will be this miracle that some fans thought it would be. But yeah. Alice, you're right. It's like a civil war in our fan base. It's same with Eric Ten Hag, INEOS. Eric Ten Hag outers. As long as there's civil war in our fan base, Glazers and INEOS will never sell up. Exactly. It's like a civil war. It's like a civil war. Amorim is gone now, and there's fans in this fan base celebrating Burnley goals. Burnley goals. There's fans in this fan base clipping up every time Kobbie Mainoo misplaces a pass. What is wrong with the social media fans? You know me, I wasn't Ruben Amorim's biggest fan, but I always wanted Manchester United to win. I said I would much rather Amorim gets backed in January, stays, and proves me wrong than we sack another manager. All I want is Man United to win. Even if it doesn't matter who's in charge, who's in the starting 11, all I want is us to win. And we're not winning a lot lately. And it's like a civil war. We need to focus this energy to the Glazers. You know, most of the fan base are calm. You've got the people that Amorim in, the people that Amorim out. And then you've got the spectrum of the Amorim sexuals and the people that think that everything's going to change. You know, we need to come together and just say, Glazers out. That's what we need to do. You know what I mean? Someone said I'm actually in favour of Roy Keane being coach and manager. I'm not. He's not a coach/manager, but I'm in favour of him being in the dressing room. I tell you what. Would I like to see Ange at United? Absolutely not. There's not many managers I'd like to see at United, if I'm going to be honest. I'm just trying to be positive. Would I have brought back Ollie if I was in charge? No. If we bring back Ollie, am I going to be positive about it? Yes. Because there's no point being negative all the time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I really like Amorim, but he's so out of his depth. I agree. I do think with Ruben Amorim, had he got wing-backs in the centre mid, maybe things could have been different. But that's loads of if, buts and maybes. It's loads of if, buts and maybes. But I want to talk about Carlos Baleba. Because, look, I mean, we've been saying this for months, years. I mean, honestly, months and years. But we need a midfielder. I've been saying it all summer. I said in August, if we don't sign Ruben Amorim a midfielder, he will probably be sacked. Ruben Amorim has been sacked. You know, and we didn't sign a midfielder. I thought Guy has been better than Casemiro the last 2-3 games, and I don't really like Guy. Lacey, if that Lacey goal had gone in, I would have screamed the roof down. But you know, a Guy's probably been better than Casemiro the last few games, but that midfield is an issue. There's 2 players that we need to get in the summer. Yeah, there's 2 players we need to get in 2026. Elliot Anderson is only available in the summer. Elliot Anderson's probably going to Manchester City. Carlos Baleba is begging for a Man United move. Carlos Baleba is balling out of AFCON. Yeah? Carlos Baleba is possible. And Romano confirmed this. Manchester United are in contact with Baleba's camp since July. Brighton don't want to sell him. The only way to make it happen this month would be a crazy proposal. Brighton will accept a Baleba exit if we spend big. Champions League and no Champions League is £90 million. If someone said we overpay and we get Baleba for 75 million in January, when really we shouldn't be spending more than 60 million on him, but we get Champions League football, which brings us in 90 million, it's worth it. It's worth dropping a lot of money on Baleba because Champions League football, I think, is £87 million or something. £87 million more. Plus the amount of money you get from shirt sponsorships, Adidas. Man United are £100 million better off in the summer with Champions League football. Baleba shouldn't be more than 60 million, to be honest. But at the end of the day, overpaying for Baleba a little bit in January because you're showing ambition to get top 4, go do it. This is what Manchester City would do. Manchester City overspent on Marmoush. Manchester City overspent on Nico Gonzalez. Manchester City this time last year were 8th. We're 7th. Manchester City this time last year were 8th. They overspent on Marmoush. They overspent on Gonzalez. But what did they do? And they got Kusanov as well, who actually probably was a fair deal. What did they do? He ended up getting 3rd. They overspent in January, but they got 3rd. Man United need to wake up and realise we need a midfielder now. Realise that one of their summer targets, Baleba, we put in a big bid, we can get him now. And some people say, yeah, but we've overpaid, he's out of form, we need to stop this. To be fair to INEOS, fair on them to wait until the summer. Fine. And they want to wait until the summer, so they go get Ruben Neves. Go get someone else then. Go get someone else then. Do you know what I mean? Baleba is available. But we have to spend big. Spend big. We have 65 million for Semenyo. Put that 65 million on Carlos Baleba, please. Carlos Baleba comes back from AFCON. Carlos Baleba pushes the move for Man United. We put 65 million on Baleba, boom. We put 65 million on Baleba. He pushes a move. It'll probably be 75 million because it's Brighton. But we know from Romano, Brighton don't want to sell. But if Baleba pushed and we gave Brighton a nice enough bid, Baleba will accept. Brighton will accept Baleba exit. Brighton will accept Baleba exit. Casemiro needs to manage minutes, maybe bring on last 30 minutes at this point. Casemiro, when he was playing 1 game a week, very good. Last few weeks, we've had 2 games a week. Casemiro's been stinking it up. The Baleba deal doesn't excite me as much now because of how bad he's been this season, but I've watched him at AFCON. I think there's a good player there. Martin is better midfield than centre-back. Worst case scenario, when Maguire and De Ligt are back, I think you've got to put Martin as a midfield at this rate. Amorim was horrible. Fans backing him want the club to fail, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts how people want the club to fail because they want to prove Amorim right. I think it's nuts that there are many people in this Man United fan base that were happy we didn't beat Burnley because it makes Amorim look better. Give your head a wobble if that's you. I wasn't the biggest fan of Ruben Amorim, but I wanted him to win, and I loved it when he won. If you really wanted us to lose to make Ruben Amorim look better, I don't know who you are. You know what I mean? Would the board use the interim manager situation's excuse to not sign anyone in January? Yep. I mean, they had an excuse. They had an excuse not to sign anyone in January because they told Ruben Amorim none of the players that they wanted were available till summer. Well, we know Baleba is available. They'll use interim as an excuse, but they would have found an excuse if Amorim was here. Man United needs a coach, not a manager. Well, Amorim wants a coach, and Amorim wants a yes man. Alice, is Baleba not alone? Can Baleba alone as CDM be enough? No, but in short term, it could get us to the end of the season. I think Baleba and Elliot Anderson would be great. I mean, they probably do want near a 90 million, but I think with his form this season, they probably sell for 75 million. No to Baleba, we need a ball progressive midfielder. It's better than Agate at that. Look, I would like Baleba and Wharton, or Baleba and Elliot Anderson, or Elliot Anderson and Wharton, But I think most of our midfield work needs to be done in the summer, but I think push for Baleba. Nobody cares about Amorim, he's gone. It's you who keeps bringing him up. Well, I'm only bringing him up because everyone else is. I've been saying it for ages. There are loads of Man United fans who don't watch the games and just side with whatever streamer they watch on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, there was people saying that this was our worst game of the season against Burnley. There was people saying, Alice, this was our worst game of the season against Burnley. But our performance versus Burnley was 10 times better than our performance when we drew to Wolves. We dropped points to Burnley. That's annoying. But people are saying oh, we're 10 times worse now. Look at the 4 at the back. We're 10 times worse now. I'm like, well, actually, that was the most shots on target we've had in a game this season. We drew to Wolves, who are worse than Burnley, and probably should have lost to Wolves, and we're a bit lucky. We drew to Burnley and we're very unlucky. I think people don't watch games. How does it feel being the second biggest club in Manchester? Haaland's coming for you all. I mean, Haaland can't hit a barn door at the moment. He's been missing sitters. Man United will never be the second biggest club in Manchester. Manchester City might be better than us. Manchester City have been better than us for a long time, and Manchester City might be a much better club than us right now, but they'll never be bigger than us. You'll never be bigger than us. We are the biggest club in England. Do we act like the biggest club in England? No. Do we play like the biggest club in England? No. But statistically, we are the biggest club in England. And that's not going to change anytime soon. It could in the future. Liverpool could overtake us because of the Glazers. But we are the biggest club in England. I agree with this. We had complete control of the Burnley game. We were so unlucky. They scored sucky, jammy goal. We got cleared off the line twice. The keeper made 2 good saves. Yeah. Their second goal, Burnley, was their first shot on target, and it was a screamer from Jadon Anthony. But their first goal was a jammy deflection. They then had we then had a fair goal ruled out. They then made 2 goal line clearances. They then get a goal out of nowhere, but it's fantastic through Jadon Anthony, which is the first shot on target. I said that I thought we played better versus Burnley, and my comments were filled with, "You clearly didn't watch the game, Alice. We couldn't beat a 19th place Burnley." I know we couldn't beat a 19th place Burnley. That's frustrating. But you can't tell me that Burnley performance was worse than the performance in the 1-1 draw at home to Wolves, because it wasn't. It was 10 times better. I actually The first half I wasn't a big fan of, but there was points in that second half where I did actually quite enjoy the football we were playing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Heaven, I feel for him. He couldn't do anything about that. I saw people hating on Heaven after the game. If you were hating on Aiden Heaven, give your head a wobble. It's not his fault. That's not Heaven's fault, the own goal. Manchester United have explored the conditions of this deal this month for Carlos Baleba, but it's not expected to happen in January. United have explored Baleba's conditions. United know if they put in a big bid, Baleba's available, and Baleba could push for the move. Let's hope INEOS wake up and do something. Even if it's not Baleba, wake up and do something. Walker foul was soft, had 2 goal line clearances. We looked much better on the eye. I agree. We didn't win. We should have won. We bottled it a little bit, but we were much better on the eye, and we hit the woodwork twice. You know, Heaven did miss a big chance as well. Sesko probably should have scored. Sesko had enough chances to score 4 or 5. Heaven missed a big chance. We hit the woodwork twice. They made 2 goal line clearances on Dorgo and Cunha. A fair goal was ruled out. Yeah, it was one of those days. And it's sad that, you know, people are giving Aiden Heaven stick for the own goal. I don't think that Aiden Heaven can do anything about it. I think there's a really good player in Aiden Heaven, and it's annoying that some people are hating on Aiden Heaven. But yeah. Ruben Neves for 15 million. Yeah, Ruben Neves for 15 million pounds. I just feel like with this midfield, it's a no-brainer. Alice, do you think Ollie will succeed? I don't know. I think we will be better at the basics under Ollie, but you know, he's not the long-term manager, so I can't tell you that. I see why they're bringing him in, but he's not who I would have picked. Wondering a match like that if you could do a Heaven Euro back 2 with Maino Leach a pivot. Yeah, you know, it'd be nice to see, but I think he didn't want to start Maino because he's only just come back, and same with Mount. Yeah. Sesko had 7 shots on target. The big positive was Sesko. Sesko's got as many goals under Darren Fletcher as he had under Ruben Amorim. We create a chance for Sesko. I think in terms of creating opportunities for a striker, that's probably the best we've paid in many years in terms of creating opportunities for a striker. Do I think that's our best performance in many years? Absolutely not. Do I think it's one of our better performances this season? Yes. I mean, our best performance this season was probably the 2-0 win over Sunderland. But it definitely was one of our better performances this season. There are reports coming out that Ollie and Carrick won't work together. It's one or the other. So that could be an interesting one to keep an eye on, to be honest, in terms of manager news. A lot of people are asking me on manager news, and it is basically between Carrick and Ollie. Ollie's at a funeral today, so it's unlikely anything's going to be announced today. Does Ollie live in Cheshire? Well, he lives in Norway, but he was coming back to his house in Cheshire. He comes back there a little bit as well. Bruno leaving for 100 million, whereas release cost is 56 million, so could be less. Guys, let me know down below. Would you go with Carrick or Ollie? Apparently, it's one or the other. Do you know what? I thought Darren Fletcher got a lot right, but the one thing he got wrong was Cunha Dorgu. He should have had Cunha and Dorgu on. I think he should have swapped them. I agree. I think he should have swapped Cunha and Dorgu. I don't think he made many other bad calls in the game. I liked that he brought Shea Lacey on for Ugarte with 10 minutes to go. I liked that he took Casemiro off. He did make the centre-back sub, which was quite funny. But yeah. Anyway, people, I'm going to wrap up today's live show because I am going live on on United Cass's channel. So we're going to go over to United Cass's channel and we're going to go live on that. So when I redirect you, come follow us in. We're going to be talking more about the Burnley game. We're going to be talking about more of the manager situation over on Cass's channel. So I'm going to wrap up the live stream here. I'm going to redirect you over to Cass's channel where I'll be now. Thank you for watching. Bye.